Stepping into a new world, looking around at what dreams are made of. On board the Halcy-Con, you gave us a voyage that lasted forever. Looking out the window, traveling across the galaxy. You brought us together, our hearts and minds, to fight the First Order and be free. And we do it again whenever you need. Yeah, we do it again, 'cause it's our honor to be in your world, our honor to be in your universe. Looking up to the stars, you'll be in our hearts. Oh, oh, and it's our honor. Showing us what heroes are made of, with strength and love, and how to be a better person no matter what star you're from. Looking deep into our eyes, you showed us it's never wrong doing what's right. So we're with you for life, 'cause it's our honor to be in your world, our honor to be in your universe. Looking up to the stars, you'll be in our hearts. Oh, oh, and it's our honor. It's our honor. Together as one. 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 It's our honor to be in your world, our honor. It's our honor to be in your universe. Looking up to the stars, you'll be in our hearts. Oh, oh, and it's our honor. It's our honor. It's our honor. It's our honor. It's our honor.
Hey folks, how are you doing? It is me, John, and I am coming to you from the Board Game Cantina studio. We just did a little live before the live, and I hope you got a chance to grab a drink and join me. It's just me tonight. Sorry to disappoint. Bridget just got home. She has a very long commute. So the way I timed this is not optimal for right after she gets home from work. But she wanted all of you to know that she had a blast seeing everyone who was at Halcy-Con. And we're still thinking about it. Like, it's been about a week now, and we are still thinking about it. So just wanted to say thank you to everybody who made our experience so special. I am raising a glass to you. I just went and grabbed my drink real quick on the live before the live. Such an amazing trip. The first thing we thought when we walked out of there was, will they do another one? And on the way down there, I'm not even sure that had entered my mind as a possible scenario. I think I really thought we'll be lucky if we can capture enough people to come together once and really kind of honor the Halcyon, honor the emotional contribution of the cast and the crew, and then really kind of like put a nice bow on the experience. But then we might have to move on And I've been preparing myself all year for the idea that we might just have to move on. And I was hoping that wouldn't be the case, but it just seemed like it was too much to hope for. To think that really what would happen is we'd have this beautiful full-fledged con. Everyone would turn out for it. Everyone would dress up. Everyone would have amazing vendor booths and breakout sessions and workshops. We'd have exciting keynote sessions from luminaries in the industry. All of that sounded like, at a minimum, you would have to just sort of build up to that over a couple of years. And we got it right out of the gate. So as a result, when Bridget and I were traveling home, we were looking at each other like, what if we were wrong? What if it's possible to have that turn into an annual event? And so we started maybe allowing ourselves to experience a little bit of hope. And as you know, rebellions are built on hope. So we thought, okay, well, if Martin and Christine, whose company Starship Aurora is behind bringing Halcy-Con to all of us, I figured they would need a minute to get home, hibernate for a little while. I'm sure they haven't slept in weeks. And then catch their breath and think about, do we want to try taking this on? At the same time, I also was seeing how much excitement there was in the online discussion, other people's podcasts. It felt like there was some momentum that was generated coming out of that event. And I thought, well, if they are going to take advantage of it, they should do it before they lose that. So who knows what they'll do. And sure enough, yesterday morning, they posted a video on their, I think it's on their YouTube channel, that was the formal announcement of Halcy-Con 2, which they are calling Halcy-Con 2 Buite. If you're not a Star Cruiser fan and you don't know what Tabuite is, that's essentially how you say cheers, or how you would toast somebody. It means savor the moment. And that took on a little extra meaning as we were doing the final cruises on the Halcyon. We were really doing everything we could to absolutely savor the moment with each other, with the cast. Just the sights and sounds of being on that ship. I found myself sitting there just trying to memorize the lines of the interior of the ship, the smells. There's a lot of very distinctive smells that were amazing that you would kind of get a little hooked on. So to be sitting here now knowing that not only did they pull off a con that's about as successful as I could picture them having, they are now officially saying we're going to do this again next year. So my mind is already kind of exploding with what could we do if we wanted to try and pitch an idea for a panel or an interactive activity or a workshop or something that would feel related to the gaming space that we love to play in so much. So much of the Star Cruiser experience itself felt like the ultimate immersive gaming experience. So it was kind of like the logical extension of everything we're excited about manifesting in one really amazing trip. So that's exciting. I'm curious to hear from all of you if you are hearing this news this week and thinking about going. Are you going to go? Do you want to participate? Like, if you were a vendor this year, would you definitely do that again? I was on a call this morning with a group that meets up twice a week on a Facebook group. The group is called HalcAnon because we all sort of have felt like we're in recovery from how special this experience has been over this past year. And if you would like to get in on that group, it's on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's Tuesday morning and Thursday evening to accommodate for people's schedules a little bit. But it's a very active discussion. And so if you would need a little fix or would feel like you would benefit from just talking about Star Cruiser, every now and then you could jump in there. So there is a Halcy-Con group that I will post the link to for that Facebook group. You get in there and you can ask for an invite to the HalcAnon calls. And it's a Zoom link that we use on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So definitely check that out if that sounds like it's of interest. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the theme of that call this morning, which was mostly about if we're going to go back for another round of Halcy-Con, what would we maybe hope to see? Or do we have any, like a wish list of things that we would be excited about? And then I also want to talk a little bit about this Kestis lightsaber that we're giving away. So then that's probably a good place to start. Last week we went live. This is not something we have been doing or are very experienced at. So for all I know, this isn't even working. I hope it is. I've got my TV on in the other room. We switched it on during the pre-show on Instagram just to check. That was a nice little kind of opportunity to just make sure everything was working okay. But last week when we did that, it was really one of the first times we've ever done it, at least on YouTube. And doing it on YouTube is a little different technically than how you do it on Instagram. So you never exactly know what's going to happen. But one of the things we did on that show last week is we talked about this lightsaber. So they've done multiple versions of Cal Kestis's lightsaber over time. And the one that came out originally at the Disney parks, it's probably behind me here. Yes, in fact, the reason there's two of them up here is they've now released this lightsaber 3 times. So this is the original Cal Kestis lightsaber. And if you are not familiar with the video games Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor, you'll notice the bottom of the hilt looks damaged and like there's exposed wiring. And that's because it starts its life as a double-bladed lightsaber that is symmetrical. So both ends look like this. It belongs to Cal's master who, during Order 66, some stuff happens that I won't totally spoil, but needless to say that his lightsaber gets cut in half. And Cal ends up just inheriting this half. It's kind of a metaphor. It's kind of a metaphor for the character and where the state that he's in when you first begin playing as him in that game. Eventually, the lightsaber, kind of like Cal himself, goes through its own story arc. It changes forms. It sort of gets reforged. This version that's still up on the shelf here looks just like this, except it has a nice finished pommel cap. So that was the second one that they released later that came with it was a limited edition that came with the video game Jedi Survivor, which is the second one. So if you bought that, there was a way that you could order it with that lightsaber included. And I kind of figured, okay, that's probably all they're going to do. Well, now there is a third version of this lightsaber where this half of it is meant to be that original half, but it's now been joined together with a second half, which he inherits from another teacher or a mentor figure who's no longer going to use it. And so it goes back to being a double-bladed lightsaber. And like all of the other legacy lightsabers that Disney makes, it's a working lightsaber. And I don't have the blades here in the room with me. We'll probably go ahead and light this up next week when we go live to actually do the drawing to give this away. But you can plug in these modular blades just like you would on all the other Disney sabers. And there is a button hidden on both ends of this that allow you to change the color of the blade. And the reason why is when you're playing those video games, there are workbenches located all around the game where you'll find a little stand like this. Cal will put his lightsaber on the stand, and then he can go in there and change out the kyber crystal with other color crystals, and you will find those as collectibles over the course of the game. So it allows you to sort of play with the look of it. Everybody has their favorite color, but to reflect that in this physical collectible item, they made it so you can actually change the color of the blade on both ends to suit your preferences. So super excited about that. We're obviously big nerds about lightsabers. That's kind of what this whole room ended up being about. But there's something about just being able to hold it. This thing is heavy. This is really heavy. I'm going to say 5 pounds or more. So it's definitely got some heft to it. You could, if you're somebody who likes to spin lightsabers, I don't know if this is one you could do that with, but it's actually pretty balanced compared to this type where all the weight is going to be shifted to one end. You could actually probably get a decent spin out of this. So that is what we're giving away. But the one we're giving away is brand new and sealed in a box that is just behind the camera over here because we accidentally bought 2. It's a little embarrassing. There's a whole story to it, but needless to say, we wound up with a second one, and we were like, we do not need 2 of these, so let's just let somebody else be the benefit of our own gap in communication. So that is what's up with the lightsaber. The way that you can win it is it's essentially a raffle, where instead of buying a raffle ticket, the way that you can get entered is to donate money to Starship Aurora. And that is Martin and Christine's company that runs the con. So if you've never owned your own business, if you want to start something like a convention and charge people money to come to it, you have to form a company that can serve as the business entity for that. So Starship Aurora is the name of their company. I've had a few people this week asking me, like, what the heck is Starship Aurora? Is that a charity? And no, it is not. But it is sort of the engine behind the con. And because this is the first time they've ever done this, they ran into a little bit of cost overrun that we are just voluntarily trying to help them recoup so that they are not taking that all on personally, because they would. That's the kind of people they are. But we all benefited so greatly from that event that we would love to just be a small part of encouraging people to donate to Starship Aurora. In fact, I'm going to pull up the website. So if you were to go to Halcy-Con, see if that's actually showing up, and scroll down to this area that says, help us shift this event into hyperspace. It's a little chopped off the way I have my screen going. In fact, let me switch over to a view where it's going to be a little bit easier to see. And you hit this big orange button that says donate credits. You're going to see a page that looks like this. It's a PayPal donation link. And there's different preset amounts, but you can donate any amount. And to be entered into this contest, there is no minimum donation. You can donate $1 and that will be enough. And so all you do is when you get the email receipt that says you donated to Starship Aurora, just blot out or blur out the part where it says how much you donated. I don't need to see that. And if there's any other contact details, I don't know that it shows your address or phone number or anything like that. But if it does, remove all that. Just send me the bare bones receipt just so that you can show me that the donation took place. I will enter you into the tool that we use to do the drawing. And then there is a way that you can get a bonus entry, and that is by donating to Magic Wheelchair, which is a charity. And they do these amazing lightsaber builds. Builds of ships, airplanes, dragons, land speeders, TIE fighters. There's a Halo Warthog vehicle that they can build around your wheelchair, and it's incredible. Like, oh my gosh, this DeLorean, and it just keeps getting cooler and cooler the longer you scroll through it. So, why Magic Wheelchair? They were the charity that you were donating to if you went to Halcy-Con and you were participating in the Sabacc tournament, which was on Saturday night, and the registration for it was Friday night, and we missed it. So it was already full by the time we realized you had to register ahead of time. So we were a little sad about that, but so excited that they maxed out their opportunity to benefit Magic Wheelchair. And we just decided, hey, what if we keep that momentum going a little bit? So if you already donated to Magic Wheelchair at the event, or if you didn't, and would like to go into their site and do that again, you just come to magicwheelchair.org, and you're going to hit this big green donate button, and you're going to come to a page that looks like this. So this is what we were all donating to when we were at the con. They just had a QR code where we could pull this page up and donate to it, and that was how you would get into the Sabacc tournament. So same deal. You donate on this page, and that's going to give you an email receipt Just remove the donation amount, any personal contact details you don't want me to see, and then email me that. The email address is john@boardgamecantina.com, so it should be pretty easy to remember. And same deal, I will add you into as a row in the entry spreadsheet. It's just a spreadsheet that I feed into this online tool that's very good at doing random drawings. And then that is what we are going to do here live on YouTube this time next week on Tuesday. We'll be doing that drawing. Whoever wins, we're going to take that box with an unopened one of these to the UPS store and ship that out to you. So very excited. Let me know if you have questions. We try to keep it as simple as possible, but if it's not clear or you're not sure what to do, let me know and we'll get you sorted. And I'll probably come back and talk about that one more time before we sign off for the night. So next thing I was going to mention is this HalcAnon group that is meeting twice a week. We had a really nice discussion this morning about the con and about how was it, especially for vendors. A lot of the people who were on that call were vendors who were selling some of these items at their booths. I'll hold up an example. This one is from Jody at Jody Ray Prints. So she does a lot of this amazing artwork. I'll hold up one of her pieces. This is, let me shift back to my better view here. This is Shug Drabor, who we learned about. He was the architect of the Halcy-Con. So he's obviously an Anzellan. But Jody Ray really captures the spirit of these characters so beautifully. And also at her booth, she was selling this pin that has D309 on it. D3, if you were not on the Star Cruiser, is the droid that you can talk to on a screen in your room. And she behaves a little bit like a concierge, but also has story and narrative to feed to you. And it changes over the course of your voyage. If you come back periodically and check in with her, she will, she's tied in with the storyline. She'll also tell you bedtime stories. She'll sing to you at night. So people get very emotionally attached to D3 because you can carry on almost a full conversation with her. And it was pretty sophisticated. But you'll notice the interesting shape of this pin. It goes together with 4 other pins. So you have a set of 5, and it forms a circle. So they sort of come together as one into one unified design. And so you can mount those all up together and it makes a nice display. But what was really neat about it is it gives you an incentive to go around to all of the other booths and collect the other pieces. And obviously while you're at it, you end up getting excited about all kinds of other items that they may be selling. So the other sellers there were Shoemaker Art. They did this one. It's got a sleeping loth cat. We've got Kyber Dust Co. And that's a little Millennium Falcon design. There's one of these that did 2 designs. This is Kate Bush. Has a little chibi style design of Captain Keevan. Sorry about the glare. There's a little bit of, we haven't unpackaged these yet, so they're a little bit reflective. And then this one is the Halcyon ship itself from Galactic Ephemera, who we've bought lots of pins from in the past. Has an amazing first order set. We actually gave away some of the Galactic Ephemera pins as part of the countdown to our Star Cruiser special last year. So the discussion this morning, from a lot of the vendors' point of view, was what would you want differently in the future? If would you vend again and have a table at Halcy-Con, and what would you hope could be improved about the process? And if anybody, I may not be looking in the right place to see the chat for this broadcast. In fact, I'm going to jump in really quick to YouTube on my phone in case I've been missing your comments. Let's see here. Let's make sure I'm muted here. Wow. It's weird. I'm seeing myself like 5 seconds ago. Dark Smack says it's working. Okay, thank you. Yeah, it's so funny. It's really hard to till I get all my right views set up here. Like we're winging it a little bit. So some of the feedback I heard was it is super fun and rewarding being a vendor, but you are also kind of tied to your table, and it is hard to know when is it safe to step away if you are wanting to go and enjoy some of the show yourself, if you are wanting to socialize with people, which is a big part of the event. When can you do that without risking losing sales? I heard a lot of people discuss the end of the con. I think there was a little bit of confusion over when exactly are they going to close the the marketplace. I know I definitely would have spent more money, but I overheard someone say the closing time, and it was just incorrect. So it wasn't anything. I don't know if there's anything to be done about that. I should have just done the legwork and made sure I understood for myself when the time was. But I kind of wrongly planned on the time that person said, and wound up when I came through to do another pass. I was going to do like a final pass through the marketplace. It was already closed. And I heard some vendors saying for that last hour, they weren't sure whether the smart thing to do would be to stick around and get those last few sales. Like, will there be a rush right at the end? Or are they smarter to go? I think there was one of the larger, more prominent panels that was taking place in one of the big rooms was sort of programmed up against that final hour of the marketplace. And I think there were people who did not want to miss that, so they were inclined to close their table and go check that out. But kind of like being on the Halcy-Con, there was a constant sense of no matter what I'm doing, there is some other thing I feel like I'm supposed to be doing instead that maybe is more exciting or cooler or more related to my goals. And that was really just part of the Star Cruiser experience. So it did feel sort of thematically appropriate, but I feel like maybe now that we've been through it once, if we were to go back, sort of how if you were to go back to the Star Cruiser second time, you're like, okay, I'm ready now. Now I know what I really want to do with my time. I'm sure that'll be a factor. There's probably a little bit of comms or signage or things that can maybe help just contribute to people's understanding of like when is your last chance to do a certain thing that's going to run out might be helpful. What do you think? Like, are there things that you wished were different or things you didn't get to do that you would change if you could? Now that we're all kind of in this headspace of thinking about next year's con, it's exciting because there were so many moments when people were chanting about it being a first year con and just being supportive if there was a problem. Like these are first year con problems. And right at the end of the event, people began to get excited about the idea of another one. And they started chanting second year con. And I didn't want to let myself get excited because I think I really thought, I don't know. We'll see. So much of it is going to come down to what do Martin and Christine have an appetite for? How much are they willing to take on personally? How much can they realistically delegate to other people? I know they had a small army of amazing people helping them. I saw Beth Fitzgibbon doing a bunch of work behind the scenes on signage. I saw Anthony 808. I saw Kit Kanto, and he and one other guy whose name I'm forgetting were doing a lot to sort of wrangle the blue crew, the teal team. It was the con's sort of version of the blue crew on the ship, was the teal team. And those people were doing amazing. So the key to making it so it's not all on Martin and Christine's shoulders personally probably has a lot to do with the community rallying and raising their hand and saying, I can take on this piece, or I'd be willing to handle that. So if you've got a hidden talent or an area of expertise, maybe it's from your day job, and you would like to make that available to them, don't be shy. it will not be long here before I bet they start calling for volunteers again, before they start calling for feedback on this Halcy-Con. I heard that there is a specific communication that is going to go out where they're going to be asking for your feedback, and they really want it. So if you have thoughts kind of floating around in your head of what you would do differently, watch for that communication. This is part of the reason why I wanted to talk about it on this broadcast, is really just to kind of get your wheels turning. So if you were at the con and then you get that follow-up email, you're ready to feed them some good input, because they're really genuine about wanting to know how can it be better, because it was so much better than what I expected and probably what anybody else did. But there's always refinement and fine-tuning and adjustment that you can do as you go forward. So that's a biggie. What's some of the other feedback I heard? I know there were people who wanted maybe a little bit clearer guidelines about what is and is not considered permissible, or at least like good form for people who are there selling. I know there's probably a little bit of communication that can happen around that, because people want to do the right thing, and sometimes they may wind up kind of wandering off track in terms of like what was really intended for people to do or not do at the con. So maybe a little bit in that space. There's probably, I know some of the feedback I would give is I was dying to have more opportunity to see everybody's amazing outfits that they showed up in, because they were all gorgeous and they were all super different. They all felt very in-universe. It was much like as the ship was in its final cruises, it shifted from a few people who are super hardcore about this, are dressed up, to eventually everybody was dressed. And you'd feel like you were missing out on a fun part of the experience if you didn't bring your outfits. Similarly, at the con, we were not intending to dress up at all, because it's Orlando and we're generally not going to unless it feels like it's a really special opportunity. Even in October, pretty warm and humid. But right at the last minute, we were like, it'll be so disappointing if we get there and everyone is deciding to dress up. But we couldn't really tell what people were going to do. So we just kind of packed those clothes at the last minute. And sure enough, we walk in there and everyone is dressed. Everyone looks like they just wandered off of the Chandrillan fashion runway. And we were like, thank goodness we brought those outfits, or we literally would have been at the gala on Saturday night with our cargo shorts and t-shirts. That was a close call. So, glad we went for it. We decided to just give ourselves the option. But the feedback I was going to offer is, as people are on their way into the gala, it would be so cool if it was kind of like when you're at a wedding and the first thing that happens when you arrive, so they don't miss their chance, is they sort of route you through a certain area where they're going to take a pro photo of you on a nice backdrop. And then they turn you loose to hit up the hors d'oeuvres or drop your gift or whatever. Like they have a certain flow that they want you to go through as you're arriving. And I could imagine something like that happening. We had sort of a version of it at the Muster meetup in October last year. But it would be so neat if there was a pro photo of all of those people that eventually then would make its way through to some share or their website or their Instagram or something, where you could have fun sitting there going through and reminding yourself all of the cool ideas people brought. I shamelessly find myself just wanting to steal ideas from people's outfits. Steven, who I don't know if Steven's still on, but when he was on earlier, I was going to just mention how much I admire his path that he's been on over the last year or two to learn new skill set around costuming and bounding. He's taken it to the level, I think, of like working leather and what they call soft goods. Like if you're in the 501st or the costuming world, it's one thing to like print your armor and get it painted and looking all perfect. But then you have those like soft fabric or leather pieces that a lot of times are an element of it. And that's its own learning curve to go through to learn all that stuff. And I watched Steven on his Instagram go from, I think, if I understand right, not understanding how to do any of that to doing a build that became like the envy of some of those events that he attended last year, right up to the closing of the Star Cruiser. So that is something that I really like inspires me to want to learn new stuff. It makes, when I see someone else go on a journey like that and have some success with it, it makes me feel like maybe if I've been assuming I would not be able to do that or it would be beyond me, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe I should just keep an open mind and have fun, at least in the attempt. Um, he says it actually went through the wash. Wow. Hopefully for the better. I could easily imagine ruining something that I poured hours into. But yeah, maybe that's kind of the final test is like if he can successfully put it through the washing machine and it just washes it and doesn't destroy it, then like you've really arrived, man. So, and I see so many other skills like that emerging out of this community. I see people, a lot of these people who were selling these incredible enamel pins, a year or two ago, probably did not know the first thing about making enamel pins or designing them, or being creative like this and turning them into something that's like a collector's set. They would incentivize you to go around and behave a certain way and engage with the vendors in a certain way. That was brilliant. I thought that was some really creative thinking that went beyond just how do I fabricate the thing itself and get it into people's hands so I can sell it. Super neat. We have so many items on our table here that there's a lot that I know where they came from. And then there's several where I'm like, my brain was so overloaded in a lot of those moments where I was meeting up with people that I kind of lost who some of these items came from. Maybe what we'll do is post on Instagram some of these items and just have you, if that was your item, just have you jump into the comments and tell us. Cause we, like I said earlier, those are all people that we want to be connected with and staying in touch with. These Blue Bantha was one of the groups you could be in on your bridge training. It was like White Wampa, Blue Bantha, Red Rathtar. And so one of the very first collectible items I got was these Blue Banthas. And this was from a gentleman who was in the LGBTQ panel or roundtable with me. I think he was also giving out keychains. He had, they're kind of like the keychains you would get at a motel, but they were done up, patterned off of all of the different Star Cruiser characters. So there was a Keevan one and a Gaia one. I think he is also who is giving out the Blue Banthas, but I'm not 100% sure because I was super emotional coming out of that workshop that our friend Jen ran and did so beautifully. But like emotions were kind of running high at the end of that. I was kind of like on the verge of tears for most of it and was really proud of myself that I was like holding it together. And then afterwards, everyone was being so sweet to each other and just trading these little items that clearly are made with so much heart and affection that I kind of like my file storage for storing everybody's name. Some of those didn't quite get sealed. And then a lot of times you might know the person's name, but then their Instagram identity is like a whole separate thing, or their YouTube channel. Like I had somebody send me an entry for the drawing for the lightsaber, and I emailed them back and was like, "Hey, I got your entry. Thank you so much." And completely did not realize that it is somebody that I know and have been paying attention to for a long time. Because they're super creative in this space and have designed a lot of really neat things and was a seller at the event who I had wanted to buy some stuff from. Did not even remotely put together it was the same person because they just go by a different name on Instagram. It was so funny. Brian and Nicole Wessels are folks that we met on one of our trips last year. I'm going to say it was the July trip. July like 2nd to 4th, like hand crocheted this little SK droid that is adorable. And he just came over to us when we were hanging out in the big whatever that big room was called. I'm blanking out, where we had some of the larger panel sessions like Jason's, and just came over and was like, "Did you get one of these SKs?" And I was like, "What?" And so he goes and gets it. It might have been one of his last ones. So thank you, Brian. Thank you for coming over and chatting with us. It was just great to see you again. Like, something really special about reconnecting with these people that you haven't seen since last year, especially in this kind of an environment. These porgs, tiny little porgs, they have a little, actually didn't notice this at first. They have a little CSL logo on the back. What else? Okay. I'll say it again. This is on my to-do list. I need to follow up with Tall Paul, who somehow wound up with a coin where the center can rotate, which I'm not sure I've ever seen before. So we got CSL logo on one side, and Tall Paul, who obviously cosplays as Cad Bane in glorious fashion. Because the dude, I'll just say Tall Paul is an appropriate name for him. It says Tall Paul in Arabesh. The guy cuts an imposing silhouette, and like you can believe he's Cad Bane when he walks up to you. And I owe him one of our coins because it was meant to be an exchange. And one of my friends very helpfully and kindly went over to him and got this when I think I was stuck in a moment where I was busy multitasking and was trying to do too many things at one time as usual. And I never got a chance to get back over to him and give him one of our coins that we had in the event. So Paul, if you're listening, I have that for you and I just need to get it to you. Here's one that I would love to know where it came from. It's a little acrylic keychain with the CSL logo. It says forever. Together as one, and it says Halcy-Con and Arabesh on the top. So if you made this, let us know. And like I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to post maybe individual posts of some of these, and you jump in the comments and tell me if that was you. Because I love giving credit where it's due, and credits are always due, as we learn from Hondo. Incredible. Okay, this is interesting. Art washes away the rust from the weary soul. So this is a beautiful little piece. And this one, I have no memory of where I got this one from. Maybe Bridget picked this one up from somebody that she talked to. So if that was you, please tell us. It has a little backstory for where it comes from on the back. Just every time we would see one of these, it would blow our minds with the creativity and the extra thought and care that would go into not just the item itself, but how to create a little bit of presentation around it. Really special. I'd love to know where this one came from. This beautiful pendant, or I think it's a bracelet I got right at the end. I'm going to have to read it to you. This one says... Oh, it's in Arabesh. I'm trying to get faster at my Arabesh reading. It's very small, and I got my contacts in. It looks like it says... Forever on the front. And on the back it says... May the stars light your way. It actually has a little bit of like, it looks like laser engraving of the, I don't know if you're actually going to be able to see it, but a little bit of laser engraving of that pattern that you would see on the map behind Keevan in the atrium. Really beautiful work. Alex, I got to sit with Alex in the bar area of the hotel after I think that was Saturday night. We were kind of decompressing afterwards because we were not going to be on Batu the next morning with a lot of folks. We had to basically check out and head to the airport not too long after that. But he was hand folding these little Grogus and giving them out. And that was another one where I think I might have gotten one of his last ones. So Alex, thank you so much for that. Really special meeting you on board the ship. And then we got to see Alex again last year at the muster meetup in October. Had a lovely conversation with him there. The Gem of Ryloth is really close to our hearts as a cocktail related podcast. All of the cocktails on the Halcyon were definitely of interest to us when we traveled. And we got very emotionally attached to the Gem of Ryloth as a drink on the ship because of its obvious connection with the Gaia storyline. And so when we were planning our tribute special, and we knew it was going to be heavily kind of Ryloth and Gaia centric content, we knew that was the cocktail we should try to learn how to make. Nobody knows how to make it unless they were a chemist in the Sublight Lounge, and they are not telling. And Disney does not publish the recipes, at least not those recipes. So we did our best in that episode to kind of reverse engineer how you might make it or how you might approximate it anyway. And Anna Delernia from the community had done a really nice job of kind of teeing up the ingredients for us, and we experimented with a lot of different versions. And I'll just say I had a really special experience at Halcy-Con that was related to the Gem of Ryloth, and that was made possible by a new friend of ours, and he introduced us to somebody who's particularly tied to the origins of the Gem of Ryloth as a drink. And that person, who I'm not going to mention because just for privacy reasons, gave us this beautiful, it's a drink marker, like you would wrap around the base of the stem of your glass if you were at a party to mark which one's yours. But it's in Gem of Ryloth colors, these beads. And so that was another really special moment to be able to just say thank you to that person for their impact on the experiences that we had. These are, if you aren't familiar with I Am Geek, that is an Etsy shop that you can buy from. Ryan from I Am Geek is also on the Living with the Land Speeder podcast, where they have delightful discussions about taking existing Disney rides, and if you could apply a Star Wars theme to those rides and attractions, what would it be? So they call it Star Warsifying the attractions. That same guy runs the I Am Geek Etsy shop, and his claim to fame is he makes incredible kyber crystals by hand. So if you have ever bought a legacy lightsaber from the Galaxy's Edge, from the Disney parks in the Galaxy's Edge area at Doc Ondar's Den of Antiquities. Not at Doc Ondar's. So Doc Ondar's is where you would buy a character lightsaber like these, like the ones I have on the table here. If you go to Savvy's workshop, that's where you would build your own lightsaber where you get to choose the parts and you get to choose the color of the kyber crystal and actually put it in. These do not work like that. But what is fun about it is you then have the opportunity to collect other colors of kyber crystals. You can swap them in. You can also put them inside a Jedi or a Sith holocron, and you will hear the voice of a relevant character speaking to you. And Ryan has gone to the level of creating his own custom kyber crystals that are themed off of all different kinds of things. So, for example, there was like a Pride Month kyber crystal that he made. So that was like an auto purchase. And he's done all kinds of amazing sort of variations on Star Wars themes or real world themes. And these were Halcy-Con themed kyber crystals that he made. And he's got another beautiful one that I don't think is on the table here. It might be in the other room, where he recreated a moment that happens on board the ship that involves Yoda appearing as a projection from a holocron. And so that is a very emotional moment that I personally did not get to experience because my path was tied up doing other things. But Bridget and I think both of my boys got to have that moment with Yoda and the holocron. And Ryan managed to capture that moment of Yoda coming out of the holocron in something that is this size. And he made two versions. He made a blue version and a green version, and then turned it into a blind bag draw. So the way it was packaged, you couldn't see which one it was, and he would have you reach into the bag and choose which one you were going to get. So again, just creativity like off the charts. Something I really admire. Here's a couple more. So Patrick Rodecker, Product One, he made these replica credits you can use in your Sabacc games, and gifted us with these. And there's something written on the back. Let's see. Oh, it's his name. It's at Product One. So if you are not following at Product One on Instagram, you should. Super nice guy. Really fun to hang out with. He's been a big supporter of our channel since the beginning. There were a lot of friendship bracelets when we were even traveling on the ship. Friendship bracelets were kind of blowing up. I think there may be a Taylor Swift effect in play, influencing that. And so, in fact, I still have on my Gaia fan club and my Halcy-On forever friendship bracelets. There's a lot of this style that's kind of like a vinyl or a rubber sort of style. But then there's also these beaded ones. And so this is one where I am not sure where this one came from, but it's got Captain Keevan's name in the beads. And it's one where I would love to know if this was you that made this. Let us know. I was talking to folks on the call this morning about that character, and I never wound up on Captain Keevan's like core storyline in terms of what I was doing on the ship. But the actress playing Captain Keevan is one of my most favorite performers in any setting. Movies, television, live theater. Like, she created such an indelible character. I think she's got one of the all-time great voices. So I can see why she is so sought after to do live work, because when you're in the presence and you hear that voice, it's one where like nobody else sounds like that, and you just know who it is immediately. And I admire her so much. She brought a tremendous amount of strength and nobility and dignity to that character. I watched people really become kind of enthralled with what she was doing. And there's a moment that she has with Lieutenant Croy in the dining room that I still am hearing people talking about. It's a year later, and it rocked people so profoundly. It could be a small moment that goes by quickly, but it hits so hard. And the performances from both of them each time were so solid that they just created something really special there. So if you had a chance to see that moment, and you already know what I'm talking about, I just can't say enough good things about it. And it showed me kind of what's possible in terms of maybe like a teachable moment for an audience. How do we take this beyond just a fun Star Wars adventure and really turn it into something that transcends that and becomes something that maybe feels a little bit more weighty or important than that? There were a bunch of those on the ship, and I know all of you had different combinations of those as you traveled. I'd love to hear about some of yours if you've got ones that were really special to you. But that moment between Keevan and Croy in the dining room was a big deal. So whoever gave us that bracelet, for us, that was not just a random fun gift of like, ooh, we got Captain Keevan. Like she's very close to our hearts, and really inspired us well beyond what we would have thought is going to happen on a trip like this. So I'm coming up on 7:30. I'll just show like one or two more, and then I'll do one more recap on the lightsaber, and then we'll go ahead and sign off for the night. These I wanted to ask about because there's a bunch, and I think they're all coming from the same person. So here is a Gaia chip. They're done as chips with like a gem in the center. Here's a first order one that's got a ruby in the center. Halcy-Con 2024 first order. It almost looks like you could eat it. These are delicious looking collectibles. So if these came from you, and there's so many, there's like probably all of the factions are represented. I'm seeing Resistance. I think I'm seeing Jedi. We got multiples of a couple. So I think this means Bridget and I were both talking to who this person is, and I need to know because somebody did an awesome job on these. I'm hoping you'll tell us. Let's see. Okay. This is one I definitely wanted to know because of these I actually remember getting. I just can't remember who I was getting them from. These kind of heavy duty cards where we've got one for Gaia and the heist storyline, and then we've got one for Wraith Cole Smuggler. They're almost like, these almost could have served as alternate badges. Like I would wear this as a con badge. So maybe these came from somebody who did design our con badges. I just don't know. So that's why I'm hoping somebody will kind of clue me in. And then we've got this metal coin. Okay, this one has a QR code, so I should be able to just scan that. Veil of the Force. Super cool. Like a heavy metal coin that's been engraved or etched in 3D. Just great job. Great job, folks. Can't get over it. Last time we talked about Jen and the Sleep No More panel. Amazing work there. We talked about the vendor. Okay, so here's one that maybe could develop into something more next year. We had Pinch of Salt Bakes and we had Journey Across the Board providing baked goods and charcuterie, all of which was themed to the Star Cruiser and to the con. And I think both of them maxed out their orders, like in terms of their capacity, because it got such a nice response, which was really heartwarming for me to see. I wanted them to get that kind of response. But it made me wonder, like, if there's that kind of appetite, literally speaking, for this type of stuff, can they open that up to more vendors like that? Is it feasible to station them somewhere in the event where you can buy their stuff and be eating it like you would if you were at a baseball game and you've got all the different food vendors lined up with their booths? Because some of the other feedback I heard people saying is the little Pizza Hut and the bar area were no match for this crowd, the Halcy-Con crowd. So it would be cool to see that area sort of populated, if the hotel will allow it, with a bunch of food options to spell them off. The poor dude I saw working the Pizza Hut was doing amazing. Like, that guy deserves some hazard pay because he was keeping the most amazing attitude. He was being super sweet with all the guests. The line was a mile long. And I think he was either back there by himself or maybe on one other person that we couldn't see. So my hat's off to that guy. Last thing I'll just mention one more time about the Kestis lightsaber. It is the double-bladed, color-changing legacy lightsaber from Disney. It is not this particular one. It is an unopened one that is in the room here with me. And we're going to draw the winner for that this time next week on Tuesday. We'll go live again at 6:30, about 6:30 to 7:30. We will feed in all of the names of people who have sent us their donation receipts to Starship Aurora. So that one you got to do. But then if you also donate to Magic Wheelchair, or you already have, just blur out the donation amount. Send us your receipt to john@boardgamecantina.com. I'm immediately turning around and entering everybody so I don't miss anybody. I'm also checking my spam folder because, full transparency, I've had at least 3 or 4 of your entries go to my spam folder. I can't figure out why. I guess it's because we're talking about giving money. So I'm checking that daily. If you are watching this and you did not get an email back from me saying thank you for your entry, that means I haven't seen it. And I would have sent it to you by now unless you sent it during this live. That means it fell through the cracks and you might need to resend it to me. Also feel free to DM me on Instagram if that works better. So that's what there is to know about that. We'll ship that out as soon as we have a winner. Very excited to get that into your hands. Thank you for considering making a donation to either or both of those organizations. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate Martin and Christine for everything that they did this year that really just went so far above and beyond our expectations. And the idea that we might get to see it grow and evolve for next year is even more exciting, because that in itself is just, it's not something we were even going to let ourselves get excited about until we saw what was the response like from all of you at the con. And just like anything else, you really came through and delivered. And that was very inspiring to see, because I wanted that for them, and I know all of you did too. So thank you for that. I think that's all I got. I really appreciate you joining tonight. This is really special for me, just to be able to kind of like sit and chit chat for a few minutes about something that we all love so much. If you've got stuff that you are hoping we will give some attention to or give some coverage here at Board Game Cantina, we would love to know about that. And we'll see if we can get it taken care of. So have a great rest of the week, and Tabuite. May the force be with you.
Stepping into a new world, looking around at what dreams are made of. On board the Halcy-Con, you gave us a voyage that lasted forever. Looking out the window, traveling across the galaxy. You brought us together, our hearts and minds, to fight the First Order and be free. And we do it again whenever you need. Yeah, we do it again, 'cause it's our honor to be in your world, our honor to be in your universe. Looking up to the stars, you'll be in our hearts. Oh, oh, and it's our honor. Showing us what heroes are made of, with strength and love, and how to be a better person no matter what star you're from. Looking deep into our eyes, you showed us it's never wrong doing what's right. So we're with you for life, 'cause it's our honor to be in your world, our honor to be in your universe. Looking up to the stars, you'll be in our hearts. Oh, oh, and it's our honor. It's our honor. Together as one. 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 Together